Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool would give up a chance for a 30% discount.
Welcome to Movies for Days, your non-pretentious, easy-access movie chat podcast. These are the words that begin every episode of Movies for Days, right here at the Movies for Days Network, your weekly deep dive into a different film of any genre, from any decade, with anybody's guess as to how we chose that movie that week. Available now on Spotify, Anchor, Podcast Addict, Audible, CastBox, Google Podcasts, and basically anywhere else podcasts can be heard. So if you're looking for a little less pretentiousness and a little more movie chat to your podcast, look no further than Movies for Days. That's movies as it is, four like the number 4, days spelled with a Z. Movies for Days. Check us out on Twitter at MoviesDays. Movies is spelled regular, days is spelled with a Z, because we're so cool like that.
Coming soon. Jolting tales of horror. Creepshow. From the author of Carrie, The Shining, and Cujo. And the creator of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin, and with you, as always, is Aaron.
Woo!
This week, we're discussing the horror classic Creepshow, directed by George Romero, with Stephen King, Ted Danson, Leslie
Still
Nielsen,
wearing a rug. Still wearing a rug, Ted Danson. So
Ed Harris, and his dance moves.
Oh, yeah,
There
can't
we
wait to
go.
talk about that.
Sweet.
Adrian Barbeau.
Yeah.
Adrian Barbeau, Hal
Hal
Holbrook. It is ridiculous. Let me just say right now, we have a very special guest with us. Film Effect Podcast own Ed. How's it going?
I'm here. What's up? Finally,
We're-
after having you guys on my show a couple times, I'm finally on this podcast.
Boom.
Absolutely. Thank
That's
you
right.
so much for coming. We're
My
gonna have a
pleasure.
ball, baby.
Love
Each
Creepshow.
week.
Can't wait to talk about it.
That's right. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's up with you?
I saw Evil Dead the Musical on Friday the 13th, and it was amazing. It takes bits and pieces from all the movies, college kids going to a cabin, blood. There's so much blood that in between scenes they had to take people with beach towels and just clear the stage off. The first 5 rows were the splash zone, so they gave everybody these t-shirts with targets. And it was just, someone would get stabbed and it would just be sprayed and they'd turn, it's hitting people in the face. It was hysterical.
It's like a Gallagher show, is what you're saying.
It was perfect. I had a gin and tonic and I was laughing my ass off.
Oh, it's that kind of show. Open bar.
It is not an open bar. It's a cash bar.
That would be better if it was an open bar.
It would be better if it was an open bar. That would explain my $40 ticket. But gin and tonic, $10, can't go wrong. And I didn't tip.
That's not, Aaron. Come on, that's not appropriate. Did they incorporate Evil Dead Rises, perchance?
No, only the good movies.
Well, we haven't seen it, so who's to say? It may be the jewel of the bunch.
Didn't we? We did see Evil Dead.
We saw the remake, but we didn't see Evil Dead Rises. Did you see any of those, Ed?
Oh yeah, big fan. I've also saw Rise. It's I have thoughts on it. It's different. I don't know. I've watched it twice. First time I was kind of on it. Then the second time I liked it more. So
now there's a cheese grater scene.
There's a cheese grater scene, but I felt like the trailers kind of spoiled it because it's not a massive scene. It's not like, I don't know. It got a lot of overhype in some moments of the film, but it wasn't that bad. They made some choices.
We're seeing a lot more cheese graters in our horror films these days. I feel like we're getting to the point where there must be some grating at some point.
Absolutely. Get one of those old school where it's like a cheese grater where it does like a strip. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe
shred flesh. Love it.
Shrink. Anywho, good times. So I have to go see Evil Dead the musical, and they sang.
Yes, and dance. And the Deadites, they die and they're bleeding everywhere, and then they keep jumping up and doing yet another "Who's Evil Now" as their song as they each start turning. It was very amusing. I was laughing my butt off.
Was there a number for the tree scene?
There were tree implied. And then I think a Bruce Campbell was starting to get molested at one point, but it was all fun and games. I was like, when the tree started surrounding the first girl, I was like, oh, is this going to take a turn? What song goes along with rape? Let's go.
I mean, who wrote the song? Stephen Sondheim? I mean,
no, because it was good.
Okay.
What?
That's a shot.
Yeah,
that's a shot.
Not that fond of
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah, it was an operetta. And then the HMS Pinafore sailed by.
The only thing I know about Gilbert and Sullivan was that movie, the pirate movie. Did you ever see that with Christy McNichol and Christopher Atkinson?
Or the Pirates of Penzance with Rex Smith, Linda Ronstadt, Kevin Kline as the Pirate King. Give me a break. I stole the double album from the Palm Springs Library. Still have it.
They're probably looking for you right about now.
That's right. $10,000 is my fine now.
$10,000. Oh, good stuff. Aaron, let's get this show back on the track. Give us your 30-second synopsis of Creepshow.
Let me just say before I do that I once owned a copy of the original graphic novel that came out at the same time. And I had left it at home in a briefcase that I stole from my dad with, I believe, the original Dark Knight graphic novel and a bunch of Bay City Roller things that when I returned to gather, my brother had dumped out, commandeered, and destroyed all of the above.
That is so not true.
I think
that's a goddamn lie.
All the graphic novels had been folded backwards at least 20 times, and it was a massacre.
Absolutely. Abject lies. Lies is all I could say. Although I
reflect on your life.
I feel like I still have the Killing Joke, if I'm remembering this correctly. I don't think I have the Creepshow. And I have to say, I was like 7 or something.
No excuse.
And that's why I destroyed it. Yes, I could not be held responsible. That graphic novel is graphic, if you know what I'm saying. As a 7-year-old, it was giving me nightmares flipping through that damn thing. It was serious.
Which is why it was in my locked briefcase in my former room.
So
FYI.
I didn't pick a lock or something. What do you think I'm doing here?
You ordered a lockpick out of the back of Boys Life magazine,
They did have those back then.
and along with your sea monkeys, and
That
that's
was
what
it.
happened.
Sweet Lord.
And let me just say, I was super into Stephen King all through high school. All babysitting money went to buy hardback novels because who can fucking wait for a paperback?
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. So
But
basically, Creepshow is a comic book. You have like the opening with the crazy family about a kid with his psychotic, I'm gonna say stepfather, but throw it in the trash. What is this garbage? And I used to love those terrifying old comics. By the way,
like Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt,
like
all the
Tales from
EG
the Crypt.
comics.
Yeah, because our library used to have them, so I used to go look at that. So then it's like 4 vignettes, little stories. One about a creature in a oh, my brother's waving 5 at me. There's the birthday cake Bedelia, which is by far my favorite. You got the thing basically locked in a crate with the Bride of the Swamp Monster. You've got what's the other ones? Father's Day, the lonesome. Oh, and the one I hate the most is the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill because it makes me feel sad, and I don't want to be sad. And then they're creeping up on you, and the Tide one, but really the
Tide You
best
Over.
one, the Tide You Over,
Something
because nobody really likes Ted Danson, so if he's gonna drown, why not? But really, where's my cake Bedelia?
It's a classic.
That's what I want to say every birthday. All right, talk amongst yourselves.
Let's go back. When did you see this the first time? Do you remember?
Oh boy, I can't pinpoint the exact first time, but I was very young. I mean, I was born in '84. I'm a baby compared to you guys.
Shots fired.
Unintentional shots. Probably around the pristine year of '88, '89. I was probably like 4 or 5 when I first saw this.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah, I got into horror at a very young age. So
Absolutely. Aaron, you saw this in the theater or what?
I saw it in the theater.
wow.
See, I think I saw it on TV at that, not at that time, but
yeah.
several years later, probably late 80s, I imagine. I remember I was in junior high when Creepshow 2 came out, the less heralded sequel, which only had 3 stories, by the way. I mean,
It's
I
supposed
feel
to be a
like
4th. I actually have a graphic. Speaking of graphic novels, I have a little comic that it actually plays out the 4th story that they didn't film.
Oh, really? What was the 4th story?
It was called Pinball. Oh, no. What's it called? Hang on a
I'm
sec.
putting you on the spot.
Because it's about a bowling alley. I just actually read it the other day. Pinfall. So it's called Pinfall.
Okay.
And it's basically kind of like the Big Lebowski with a dead team, sort of, is like the best way to describe it. It's basically this team, this dead team plays this other team, and like the usual horror tropes would have happened where like heads are going down the lane and stuff like that, and they take it at one part they take a guy's fingers and stick them into like the sharpener where the bowling ball like mechanics are, and it's pretty graphic. I can understand why they didn't film it, but it's actually Arrow Video put out Creepshow 2 about 6-7 years ago, and the first like 1,000 copies comes with a hardback with the comic, and that's how I got my hands on it.
Oh, really?
I actually won it on eBay a few months ago for like
Nice.
$50. So
A bargain at twice the price.
yes.
I have to say, I kind of enjoy Creepshow 2.
I'm
Not
a big
as
fan
much
of
as
it.
the
I
original.
like not as much as this one, but I do like Creepshow 2 a lot.
Never saw it.
Wow.
Really? Because I'm trying to remember. Maybe
It doesn't have the star-studded cast like this one does.
George Kennedy,
But it does have people in it that are nowadays kind of a big deal, I guess. I just remember how Hal Holbrook's like son is in the second one, and he's the guy who's like loco, the fat guy who gets shot with the arrows. That's Holbrook's son.
That's hilarious.
So
That's hilarious. Okay, well, why don't we just jump right into the highlights, shall we? First, we got to talk about the wraparound
prologue.
story. The prologue, if you will,
Yeah.
with crazy Tom Atkins.
Without a mustache. Without a mustache,
Sam's mustache.
You get half the Atkins in this movie. I just want to know who convinced him to shave that stash, man. Seriously, who thought that was a good idea?
I don't like
They're like, man, it's not the 70s anymore. If you want to be relevant, dump the stash. And that's what we got.
Is that what you think that was a conversation? Big mistake. Mistake. Aaron, you talked about this. I love it where it's like the abusive father, smacking the kid around for reading some horror comic books. And I love the kid goes back at him with, what about the sex books?
Yeah, that's right. It's about sex stuff.
The sex books in your sock drawer, and he gets a smack for that one.
Well, you know who that is, right?
I looked it up because the kid annoyed the shit out of me.
Okay.
I Googled it too.
Okay.
I was like, who? I literally wrote down, this kid is the worst.
Joe Hill.
It was Stephen King's son at the time, credited as Joe King.
Yes.
But is now, an author, a published novelist under the name Joe Hill. No Nepo baby for him. So good on him.
No.
Right. Richard Bachman. Right. No Nepo baby, my ass. But I like it. Joe King joking.
Ah, look at that.
There you
think
go.
that was a coincidence?
I don't know. Is his name Joe?
His name, I believe it's Joe.
Because more recently, he did the original adaptation of The Black Phone.
Oh, really?
He wrote the story that the film is based on.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's like successful.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a big deal in the horror world still.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely. Not so much in the acting world.
No, absolutely not. This was a one and done for old Joe.
Down there. I was like, Tom, give him another crack while you're at it, for God's sakes.
Well, the best part is, okay, you throw the comic book away, but is no one seeing the posters that are in the room?
No.
I mean...
Right. The whole room was like covered. It's like that kid from Salem's Lot. It was like his room, basically.
Yeah.
With like,
And unless he has a job, one of these crazy people raising him are the ones buying all this shit.
Absolutely.
And what's up with Romero focusing on that happy pumpkin for like 15 seconds before we see anything?
He's an artist. Okay.
A happy ass pumpkin on the fucking windowsill.
He was making choices.
Yeah, he was.
And then I'm going to go right to the end. I like at the end where first of all, the kid's like, what do you say? Like, God damn you to hell, Dad, or something. He says some in an evil devil voice.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Tommy Jarvis die almost.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then at the end, of course, the kid mails away for like a voodoo doll, which he proceeds to massacre his father for throwing away his comic book. So.
And Tom Savini plays one of the garbage guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, oh, yeah, look at this voodoo thing. Oh, it's already filled out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Somebody already took the voodoo thing.
Yeah.
X-ray specs? Absolutely. If you read comic books from back in the day, like late 70s, early 80s, they are chock full of crap like that at the back where you can send away for worthless
alligators.
Yes. Yeah. Sea monkeys.
I literally remember sending away from one of the joke boxes.
And what was the joke? There was nothing in it?
No, it's like, it's like the itching powder, sneezing powder, whoopee cushion, that kind of stuff.
And honestly, they sold X-ray specs, which were just glasses with like red film over.
Cardboard with a tiny hole for you to see. Yeah. It's not so you can see, it's so that other people are freaked out that you're seeing them naked.
So I see. That's what it is. It's for fooling the other people. Interesting.
Yes. It's called false
Mind
advertising and lies.
Absolutely.
If you believe it, as we learned from Trump, if you believe it, if you say it, it is then true.
People are saying.
People are saying X-ray specs.
Shall we move on to the first actual story? And that is Father's Day.
The
Go
best.
for it. What do you guys got?
This is my
Dude.
favorite story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love how this kicks off the entire film. It's short and sweet. As a matter of fact, I love how this film is structured. The first 3 stories, just bang them out in like 45 minutes, and the last 2
Yes.
stories just take forever. Actually, it's more of like the crate story is like 45 minutes long.
Oh, that's too long.
We'll get to it. Yeah, it is too long. But this is great. I love how it's got the right amount of time, the makeup effects, the where's my cake Battaglia. There's so much about this. Ed Harris's killer moves on the dance floor.
Oh my God. Oh,
Holy
his
crap.
moves. His moves.
Look
if
out.
If you've not seen this movie, watch this movie for this scene alone. Where they're, don't let go. And he's doing this kind of a weird, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I've always wanted to get down the way he does, man. He's got some moves on him.
Totally non-self-conscious. I'm sure George Romero just turned on the camera and said, do your thing, Ed. And this is what he started doing. Oh, love it. Love it. Sorry.
Clearly he has no clout. I swear they shoot him looking down to make him look even smaller than he is versus when he became famous. Now he's a giant. He was literally a leprechaun in this.
Absolutely.
But I loved it was all slice of life. It is like still some 70s clothes going on.
Absolutely.
You can't make this shit up. But my favorite is that fucking crazy aunt with the long gray hair with the black eyes. She is no whites. It is all pupil. I don't know what's going on, but I want to be here and I just want to smoke cigarettes, drink scotch, and say enigmatic things to people and freak them out.
Aunt Sylvia is who you're talking about.
That's my dream.
Like, I just have in my notes here, this family is nothing but a bunch of ritzy, condescending asses, except for Ed Harris. He's just married into the madness.
Right.
And they hate him. Everybody else hates him. Oh, he's a hick because he wears jeans with a big belt buckle. And he does crazy disco dancing.
Little do they know he'll be an astronaut one of these days.
Very soon. Absolutely. No
and to think
question.
that this was his second film with Romero, because he came from Night Riders the year
That's
before
right.
this.
He was like part of the Romero stable of actors.
Yeah. This is only like his third or fourth film. He was very young in the industry.
Yeah. He didn't come back for anything else. I think this was it for him.
No, this was it for him. He did 2 films with George and was like, all right, I got a taste of the hard, and I'm going to go film the right stuff.
Which I love. I love the right stuff.
Everyone does. Yeah, it's a good film.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I saw it.
Oh, shut your mouth. Very upsetting.
Now, I have to say, I think this is a ripoff of The Twilight Zone. There's a Twilight Zone episode with like a crippled old man who the niece kills for the money.
Right.
It's very similar to this vibe.
Do you know what's interesting is you guys love this one and I enjoy it, but it's pretty light in terms of like plot depth, if you will. You know what I mean? It is very much like killed the old man, now he's back for revenge, and he's done in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Well, maybe that's why I love it so
You're
much.
smoking fucking crack, first of all.
I enjoy
this
it.
has less depth than Ted Danson floating in the sea with Leslie Nielsen. You're just loving that because it's Leslie Nielsen.
Well, I'm not going to lie about that. But what I will say is that, you know, something to tide you over is at least a totally unique and original concept. Like, I don't think I've ever seen or even heard of anything
Parts
like that
of it
before.
are. I mean, how many times have we seen, you know, the guy running around on the woman, or the woman running around on the guy, and the guy getting his comeuppance? And...
Well, yeah, you're right. The insane person.
It's still cool to see.
Rich husband.
It's still awesome seeing Leslie Nielsen playing, you know, a serious role in a horror film by George A. Romero of all people.
Right, absolutely. And
it's still wild to me that he's in this.
But let me ask you this. How come Aunt Bedelia had a crazy accent that no one else in the family had?
Dude, it's
Makes
great
no
though.
sense.
Her when she just gets belligerent, drinking that Jim Beam, and she plays the best drunk. I don't know if she was one in real life, but if you ask me, she was, and it transpires
She has
perfectly
had
on
a
screen.
drink before. That's
I mean,
for sure.
she is rolling this blabberness off her tongue like she's great at it. I
I think
actually made
this
a
is the
note
best
about how great she
acting.
is as the drunk.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed her performance, but it was bonkers.
Like she
It
can
was-
babble like it's nobody's business.
Yes. Yes.
Like you give that woman 10 minutes and a bottle of Jim Beam, and she'll give you her all.
she
They didn't even need to write the script for her. She can just go.
No,
Well,
just
and her
say
line
just act
delivery-
drunk for 5 minutes. There you go.
her line delivery is like the Christopher Walken school where there's pauses and weird spots.
Yes, yes.
You're like, where there's certain sentences just run together. Who knows what she's talking about?
And then she'll like get all
Absolutely.
her voice will get all high. She'll be like, it's like she's awesome. Love it. More Aunt Bedelia or more Bedelia.
Totally. Well, and to me, growing up, the concept of Aunt Bedelia was
Yeah.
emblazoned in my brain.
Amelia Bedelia? Was it
Amelia
Amelia
Bedelia.
Bedelia?
Could be.
This is what
Who's to
happens
say?
later on.
Yeah. Poor Amelia Bedelia.
Maybe
Takes
it's
a
just
dark
me. Whenever
turn.
I heard the name Bedelia growing up, I always thought Bonnie Bedelia.
Bonnie Bedelia.
Body
Yeah.
Bedelia.
Hard Like a Wheel, for example. Die Hard.
Die
She was
Hard.
very successful. Presumed
Beautiful
Innocent.
Things.
Absolutely. She was all over the place.
Yeah,
The hardest working woman in show business, no question.
for a minute.
Now, okay, first of all, I have to say, I am a father. None of
Same.
my kids have made me a Father's Day cake, if you will. I mean, what the hell?
You
Yeah.
ain't raised them right.
Every year
Where's
I
my
always go around
cake,
saying, "I
Bedelia?"
want my cake, Madeline."
Absolutely. Hey, I might get an old clay ashtray. Maybe I should take a hit. I mean, at that stage, is that a warning? Or right? Shots fired.
Like I just love it. Like he's like the charming patriarch of the messed up family. Where is my cake, you bitch?
Right. Not so charming.
He's
It
so charming,
turns
isn't
out.
he? All the ladies love him.
It has the best acting. It's the most George Romero-esque.
Yes.
And it's the one that gave me bad dreams.
Yeah, it's the creepiest of them all. It's the scariest looking. Like the makeup work, and it's just perfect. Like yeah, even me growing up, like just that whole image of like the what's his name? I'm
Which
drawing
one?
a
Ed
blank.
Harris in the Hole? What are you talking about?
No, the Uncle Nathan, whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
Nathan. Yes,
Nathan,
right.
yeah, when he comes like that, the makeup work, like how it's just, it's creepy, you know.
It's creepy. Well, and
Yeah.
he twists old Aunt Sylvia's head.
Sylvia's
just right around.
head. I mean, it's right
That
here
was
on my
something.
shirt, right there.
There it is.
Yeah.
So
Like that T-shirt, brother.
I love this shirt.
Looking good. Looking good. Anything else about Father's Day?
Besides the iconic line, "Where's my cake, Bedelia?" Besides the fact that chick had no eyes but black, I kept waiting for something bad to happen because I kept staring at her eyes. Why is it only all black? And just as an aside, I had to Google her. She was married to Dick Cavett.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Aunt
isn't that
Sylvia?
funny? If anyone knows who Dick Cavett is, yeah,
Very
and
successful
Sylvia.
talk show host back in
That-
late 60s, early 70s.
For sure, next Halloween.
You're
Aunt
Dick Cavett?
Sylvia. You're Dick Cavett.
Let's move on to the next one, which I believe is
The
Lonesome
Death
Death
of
of
Jordy
Jordy
Verrill.
of Jordy Verrill, starring Stephen King
The writer
in
of this
his
film.
screen debut, if you will.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Good grief. What do you guys got for old Jordy Verrill?
It makes me sad. It's not scary.
How about the lonesome life of Jordy Verrill? Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. I mean, he wasn't doing so hot before the meteor comes crashing down.
He was living his little best life. He didn't seem
Yeah.
unhappy. After the meteor, he did seem unhappy.
He's
I
a
mean, he's
man
supposed
of
to be kind of
big
an imbecile,
ideas.
right? A little, kind of a moron. I mean,
Yeah.
But it's also kind of a comedy, isn't it? It seems like for most of it,
I
it's
mean,
meant to be
he
kind of
calls it
funny.
meteor shit. What do you think? No, this to me, it's fine. It's filler. It's if anything else.
It's
I mean, it's
filler.
really short. This is probably the shortest story of them all. I didn't count it, but probably like 10, 15 minutes at that. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it's Jordy outside. Meteor strikes. He touches it, gets the blisters. It turns into all this green stuff growing, and then sees a doctor. Debates whether or not he wants to jump in the bathtub. Next thing you know, everything's green. He's got a shotgun. The end.
He does not see a doctor, my friend.
He imagines
Oh,
what
that's
would
right. He
happen.
imagines. That's sorry. Like I said, he's got so many ideas. He's a man just full of them. So
Yeah, and now we see why Stephen King never acted again.
yeah.
Well,
I
he
mean,
makes
he was a
cameos.
priest in Pet Cemetery. He was also.
That's about.
I
He
don't
was
know.
in Maximum Overdrive, which he also directed.
He's in a scene in
Oh,
Sleepwalkers.
Yeah, he is. Little cameos here and there. This is by far his
Yeah.
biggest role.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, it's about 7 minutes long. I think George was in the editing bay going, is there anything that we can salvage from this one?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he replaced someone at the last minute. I forgot who.
Oh, is that right?
I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure
know
that's
that.
what it was. I don't think the idea all the entire time was Stephen King.
Oh,
You're gonna be like
Googling
the lead
this.
actor of this fifth story. You know, I don't think that was ever
he
the
replaced
case.
Sir Laurence Olivier. Well, and this is kind of like, I think Stephen King on some level likes to kind of poke fun at kind of the Maine townies kind of thing with the accent and
Oh
you know,
yeah, no doubt.
he enjoys doing that sort of thing.
I'm sure this story takes place in Maine, so
Oh, absolutely. Like there's a sign where it says Castle Rock is so many
That's
miles
right.
this
See?
way and Bangor's a
Boom.
little bit over there. But it seems like when he's envisioning, I'm taking this meteor to the Department of Meteors at the local college, hoping to get $300 for it, as if there's
yeah.
there's professors with just a cash box. How much? How about 50? So, and nothing for a broken meteor.
No.
No.
Exactly.
Sweet. Did you find anything, Aaron?
I got nothing.
There's nothing to this really. Like I said, it's short and sweet.
Short and sweet. It's initially a comedy, but at the end he blows his brains out with a double-barreled shotgun. Not so funny at that point.
It's like 99.8% comedy. And then in like the
Right.
last 2.2%, just enough for him to pull the trigger and us to hear the shotgun effect.
The
And that's it.
creepiest part is by the end, he is literally looks like Oscar the Grouch.
And his
So,
voice
you're-
too. That is creepy the way his voice is also changed.
He's got all the wisps coming off the fingertips.
Yeah.
So if you want to see Oscar the Grouch finally end it all because he's tired of living in trash, there we go.
Tired of living in trash. Not that tired, I'd argue. You see that house? Very
Too
upsetting.
much.
Anything else about Jordy Verrill?
Pass.
Pass.
Yeah, I like all the lighting. It's the same lighting they use
The
all through
lighting,
it.
yeah.
love
I
it.
forgot to
Yeah,
mention that
know.
the last story. Like, I'm a big fan of the lighting effects in this movie.
Oh,
'Cause it
absolutely.
plays throughout.
Reminds me of all the Argento, the blue and the red, the blue and the red.
the blue and the red
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
'cause we didn't mention that this is kind of framed like you're flipping through a comic book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll do like kind of interesting borders or
A lot of
almost
fluorescent
like-
colors when they're not really needed. It's still just is there for the effect.
exactly.
And it was the 80s, so there's always room for some fluorescent colors.
It's like
Absolutely.
watching if you ever seen After Hours or Vamp, you know, all the green and pink.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had to bring
There
it
we
back.
go.
You know, I had to
Love
bring
it.
Vamp
Bring
into
it,
this
bring it
somehow.
back to Vamp.
Bring it
Absolutely.
back. So the next story is Something to Tide You Over, and it stars Leslie Nielsen as the kind of aggrieved husband. Ted Danson is the guy having the affair with Leslie Nielsen's wife, and ever so briefly, the wife, she was from Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, it's Galen Ross from Dawn of the
Galen
Dead,
Ross.
and from one of my favorite slasher films of the '80s, Madman.
Madman. Where I
Madman
think-
Mars.
Didn't she?
I was
She
like
was
Mad Men, where it's just people
no.
smoking in,
Yeah,
in 60
exactly.
suits.
That's exactly right.
Exactly what it was.
I think for Madman, I think she used a pseudonym
She
as
did.
well.
I forgot what she
She-
called herself in that film too. I should know because I've seen the film like 1,000 times. Um,
it's just
I
interesting.
I
I
have it
wonder
right here.
why.
Yeah, she's Alex Dubin. Alexis Dubin is her name. As that's what she's credited as in Madman.
I
Because
mean, it's not like
she's
it's a
only done
porn
3
or
movies:
something.
Dawn, Madman, and this. That's it. Everything else that she's done is like television work, and she was a director.
Look at
Um,
that.
but yeah, she's only been in three roles.
That's so interesting. I mean, obviously, this is kind of a very small role.
Her career
I
is
mean,
so fascinating to me because she does the convention circuit still to this day.
absolutely. She's like John Cazale or whatever, who's done like she did 3. Okay, John Cazale was in Godfather, Godfather 2,
He did
Dog Day
5 movies and they
Afternoon,
were perfect.
Deer Hunter.
They were
Yeah,
all perfect movies. You're never gonna have a career the way John Cazale had.
and then he died,
Exactly. 5
and that
roles,
was it.
5 perfect roles, and then
5 for 5. Yeah,
exactly. Dog
and
Day
he's living with Meryl
Afternoon.
Streep.
Just great actor.
He was
One of
great.
one of the all-time best.
That's Galen Ross, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right now. Anywho, so Leslie Nielsen shows up,
Except Galen Ross is still
essentially
with us.
kidnaps. He essentially kidnaps Ted Danson, pre-Cheers Ted Danson. And
Still with a
there's-
rug. Still with a rug.
He always had a rug. That was kind of his early Cheers. He had that kind of part in his hair.
How is this in the Cheers world? Is he already in Cheers? Is
I
Cheers
think
already
this is
going on?
before. This is before
Cheers was
Cheers.
83, I want to say.
Yes.
Okay, so he was already in Cheers.
No. This
No,
was right.
this
This
is
was the year
after.
before Cheers.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
82.
This is
okay.
82.
Okay.
Like everyone didn't know his name yet.
No.
All right.
And I'm
Where
I mean,
nobody knows.
Nobody
your
knows
name.
your name yet.
That's a good one. Now this is after Airplane,
Yes.
but it's before Naked Gun by a
Yes.
couple years. So this
Well,
is
the
so
TV
Leslie
show
Nielsen
Naked Gun has already happened, I believe. See, I
with-
never
right,
watched the
Police
TV
Squad.
show.
Right. It wasn't a very
It was
successful.
a TV show?
Yes,
Yeah, it was based off a
it was
TV
only
show,
on for, like,
Police Squad.
Police Squad. It was only on for a couple years.
Police Squad was this year, 82.
See, there
Police
you go.
Squad was on for one season, 1982, March 4th to July 8th. I'll look it up right now. 6 episodes. That's it. 6 episodes.
You can, I believe, you can rent them.
Probably.
Rent them. Back in the day, I could go to the video store and I might find
And
like,
then
the set.
This became the Naked Gun series.
Correct. From the files of Police Squad.
Right.
Is what Naked Gun
Exactly.
is called. But so the thing about Leslie Nielsen, he was a serious actor
He was
for
prior.
basically his entire career.
Right.
Poseidon
and then
Adventure, Forbidden Planet,
Absolutely. Day of the Animals.
Day of the Animals. I was gonna name drop that actually because that's one of the first films I ever saw him in. I was like, hey, that's Frank Drebin. Why is he getting killed by that fucking big ass bear?
Why is he a rapist?
Yeah, why is he an asshole in this movie?
Put your shirt on, Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, there were a lot of those moments. So he kidnaps Ted Danson and buries him on the beach up to his neck.
Yes.
And the tide slowly comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then hijinks ensue, essentially. So, what do you guys got?
Now you know there's
I
another.
just got people are gonna notice if your wife goes missing, and her lover goes missing. They're gonna go look for you people.
So there's also another uncredited cameo in this sequence. So we're talking about Galen Ross, we talked about Leslie Nielsen, we talked about Ted Danson, but we didn't talk about Richard Gere.
We did not.
No, we did not. Richard Gere has an uncredited voice on the you hear his voice on the TV set.
Oh well, shit!
it's
Now I have to go
him.
back and watch this.
And there's another cameo in the final story with the bugs that we'll get to. That
Richard Gere.
Yeah, Richard Gere has an uncredited cameo in this film.
That's
hysterical hijinks.
And this is like right around the time of An Officer and a Gentleman.
American Gigolo.
American Gigolo. Yep.
Speaking of Richard Gere, he wouldn't even have a career if it wasn't for the fact that John Travolta's horrible at picking scripts. John Travolta turned down all of it. Again, this is a couple years after Saturday Night Fever and Grease and everything.
Right.
He said, I'm not doing Officer and a Gentleman. I'm not doing American Gigolo. Two of a Kind, yes, I will do that one. Perfect, yes, I will do that one.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. If you haven't seen Perfect lately, do yourself a favor. It is.
Is it perfect?
Well, I wouldn't use that word to describe it. Sweet Jesus.
It's him and Jamie Lee
Curtis. Yep. And Lorraine Newman and Mary Lou Henner.
Mary Lou Henner, yep.
It's an all-star cast. Anyway,
Banger of a cast.
Everything on the show.
Isn't there something? Wasn't Mary Lou Henner in the news this week? Is
Yeah,
she dying or
she's
something?
like on a deathbed, I heard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not to sound
First
crass,
Suzanne
that's how it
Summers.
was labeled. That's how I heard it. She's on her quote-unquote deathbed, so.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that if you give
From
Mary
pneumonia.
Lou Henner a date, she can tell you what day of the week it was, no matter what. Like, 'cause there's something about her brain. She could, like, if you just say, what day of the week was February 5th, 1872, she can just go, boom, that's a three. That's a
You
Thursday.
better hurry
She's
up
like
and
a
ask
beautiful
her, I
mind.
guess.
She is like, I don't know how valuable this particular talent is, but I mean, it's
great at parties.
It's great at parties. I have to say, the zombies, when they come strolling out of the ocean, I thought the idea was really cool, but they looked not great.
They look wooden.
They did.
They look like
That
they're like
was
walking
pretty shitty.
planks.
They've been drowned for 2 hours.
Yes.
And they look like they've been floating in the ocean for 6 years.
Yes, correct.
It's like I understand what the effect that Tom Savini's going for, but I don't think that's how skin works after you drown for like 12 hours.
I get a little pruny.
Not like that, dude. Not like you're a walking, talking just piece of board. Like they look like wood. Like I don't know how to describe it other than the way I just did.
Dude, it's totally the golden voice of Sinbad with the creature from the mast.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why he'd want to do that because his visual effects when they get shot in the head, you want it to run down all the creases. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, what's that with like the green? Like you're all of a sudden your shit turns green.
Yes.
When you drown, apparently.
They do. Well, and the wife, the zombie woman, looked like a Muppet. It was a weird, like the face didn't even look like a The other one, if you look close enough, you can kind of see Ted Danson. Galen Ross, I don't know. They used Grover.
Well, here's the fifth uncredited person in this story, Frank Oz, folks.
He did.
No.
They used Miss Peggy.
I think the costume, the dead people effects in this film look more like it was a suit they put on versus practical stuff that they would apply.
It seemed like a mask, kind
like
of.
a mask versus having everything glued and you're there for 12 hours because these celebrities are going to be like, F you.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock it too much because I know all the hell they went through filming this in Pittsburgh, and Tom Savini was pretty much a one-man army doing all the makeup effects work himself. So, he at least tried.
He will tell you, it's like, when we talk about The Crate, he talked about how he had never done a monster.
Like Fluffy, yeah.
Right, so he had to call Rob Bottin and get advice. He's like, how the hell do you do this? So
yeah,
he's doing the Lord's work. He's trying out there. He's trying to do his best. So I appreciate.
And he
that
does some really great stuff in this film. We're just talking about one minor effect from a couple of dead people. That's it. There's a lot of other effects in this film to go around.
I will say in Father's Day, the zombie looks similar.
Yeah. Father's Day is already made up for this story.
Well, and the thing about it is like literally George Romero, what he does is zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom Savini, that's what he does.
I mean, it's all zombie-esque, even if they're waterlogged. But I have to tell you, when they show up, the music that goes along with that is amazing. I love the music. I love the
John
lighting
Harrison's
when they
music
showed up.
in this movie is fantastic. I wanted to comment on that too. Like, I think the opening credits for this movie, the opening music is like haunting. Like, I love John Harrison's score. It's great, and I love the fact that he came back to kind of return to the franchise. He directed Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
myself included, consider Creepshow 3.
It's basically what it is.
It's
isn't
Creepshow 3 all the way. And I think at one point it was supposed to be Creepshow 3 when it was first conceived, and then when shit fell through, Romero was like, "Well, I've got this TV show, Tales from the Dark Side. We'll just turn it into that, you know."
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I totally thought it was a ripoff. I'm like, how come nobody's talking about how this is a ripoff?
No, the real
I
Creepshow 3 is a
remember-
ripoff.
Well, there was a Creepshow.
That's what
3,
that's
wasn't
what
there?
I'm making reference to. From 2006, I think is when that shit came out.
It's a
It's
legacy
bad.
sequel.
Oh, it's real bad.
Why were the corpses so steamy?
Got me.
Dehumidifier? Are they in the tropics?
I mean, they're on the
I don't
beach,
know.
so it must have been a hot day.
They sit in the jacuzzi for half an hour before attacking. Could be.
They're like,
yeah, of
what's the
course.
rush? He'll be going to bed soon. We'll hit the hoozy. We'll get a couple pops, and then we'll go kill him.
That will do it.
So we've got this whole house to ourselves.
Now, you talked about the music. I kept thinking it was kind of reminiscent of like Sigmund the Sea Monster, where it's like,
Oh my god! And Johnny and Scott are friends.
well,
Yeah.
not that part. But
I thought it was a little Jallo-y. That's what I was thinking.
which I
Yeah.
like. I like that goblin kind of
Yeah.
motif. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
And I
that
think
as well.
Harrison's intentionally borrowing elements from different pieces of the score as well. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind.
Boom.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts for something to tide you over?
I'm surprised we've talked about this for this long.
Don't
Don't even imagine how long we're going to talk about the crate for.
Not
So,
that long.
up next, the crate.
A crate.
They find an old crispy crate underneath the stairwell from like an 1840s Arctic expedition.
This
From
is the
Julia
thing,
Carpenter.
right? This is the thing.
Julia Carpenter.
Yep. This is the thing,
Coincidence?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Um,
much.
And, you know, as a bizarre subplot, Adrienne Barbeau is mean to her husband at dinner
No.
parties.
This is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
It is!
It's a thing versus Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Let Loose. We just need Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton playing those key roles, though.
Absolutely. I always say, like, you know, and I'm sure Adrienne Barbeau is a lovely woman, but this is kind of how I picture her. This, you know, the way I think of her, because she's kind of like tough and mean in Swamp Thing as well. You know what I mean? It's kind of a
But not in
well,
Golden Girls.
Okay.
not
Yeah.
in Maude, right?
Well,
Then
not on
not
Maud
Maud.
either. Yeah, I was going to say. Well, as someone who's had Adrienne Barbeau on their podcast,
Oh,
I
have
can
you
tell
really?
you, yeah,
I
we had
thought
her
you were
on
saying
last year.
as someone who has had Adrienne Barbeau. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
We're Real Housewife in it. Tell us more.
She's a lovely.
She is awesome. She is
That is cool.
nothing like Billy, but she has got stories, and
I bet.
someone with a career of that magnitude. Yeah, that was one
Absolutely.
of my favorite things, having her on, just listening to her talk about all this stuff, you know. Didn't really talk too much about Swamp Thing, but you know,
I would
I've
lead
heard
off
her
with
thoughts
Swamp
about
Thing.
Swamp Thing. Depending on which variety you're watching of that film, there's two different cuts.
Oh, that's true.
This is,
There-
and yeah, the main difference is her mainly.
Boobs. Yes.
God, I haven't seen that in so long. I believe I saw it on VHS the last time I saw it.
Damn, that's a
Wes
throwback.
Craven.
But she loves Billy. She loves the Billy character, and I love her.
Well, she's
in
really
this role.
acting when
Huh?
she's doing Billy. She's really acting. I
Oh,
mean,
she's
this is a
acting.
real
Oh yeah, she's
performance,
nothing
no
like
question.
this in real life. It's completely like it's a polar
It would
opposite.
be so fun. It would be so fun.
She had
to
a
play
blast
Billy.
doing this. She said so. You know, and it transpires on screen. She looks like she's having a blast doing this role.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like the
Absolutely.
most agonizing person that you just, the one person who gets under your skin the most, and she's like the person just poking you. If you had enough yet, am I annoying you yet? Am I annoying you yet? Like, she's doing that, you know.
Absolutely.
And she's so
She's
great
doing it.
at it. I love her voice.
Oh
I
yeah.
do too.
It's great. My only qualm about the crate is its length. Other than that, because there's a lot of bullshit in this story, and it, like, I don't know, it slows the movie down. I've always
Well,
felt that.
It takes too long, and I don't understand who drinks milk with vodka. Is that a secret thing that I'm unaware of? Because that sounds fucking terrible.
Well, yeah, that's how they make White Russians.
That's true. Well, it's a heavy cream, right?
It's
I think
cream,
it's like
but
cream.
we used to drink it with milk. It was milk, vodka, and Bailey's.
That's supposed to be
Bailey's.
Kahlua.
It
No,
was Kahlua.
Kahlua, not Bailey's. Kahlua.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
a
like,
black
you're drifting
Russian.
all
A White
off into
Russian
a
is
different
milk,
situation.
vodka, and Kahlua. Boom.
Sounds delicious. Whatever the case. I was on the Best Film Ever podcast talking about the Big Lebowski, and we each had a
White Russian?
and I was freaking hammered 5 minutes later.
The last time I drank White Russians was for my sister's birthday party back in 2011, so 12 years ago. And I had so many that night that I got sick to my stomach, and I've never had one since.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I was 16 years old at the Phoenix airport when the drinking age was 18, and that's what we were drinking.
Boom.
It is kind of like chocolate milk,
Yeah.
but heavily
It tastes
alcoholic.
so good.
It's delicious.
It's like
A little
I
too
didn't even
good.
realize that night how much they were hitting me because I was just enjoying them so much.
Right.
That's a problem with those like sweet drinks. You're like, it's so delicious, and then before you know it, you're sleeping next to the toilet.
It's the creeper. It creeps
Yeah.
up on you.
Well, I still had another hour to that episode I had to record, so it was.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be
I mean, I get it. I
real
was
and
on there
lush
for
there.
Dazed and Confused, so yeah, they can go a little long.
So, did you guys smoke weed for that episode?
I mean, I did, of course.
Absolutely. I'm trying to getting back the show back on track. I'm trying to figure out what scenario Hal Holbrook and Adrian Barbeau would have gotten together.
Oh man, that's a good ass question. It's almost as
If
good
you
as
think about it, these meek guys, at least in Hollywood, they always need this other out there person. This is just to the toxic level.
Which, like, I'm asking myself watching this, it's like, what do all these, like, college girls see in Fritz Weaver, for Christ's sake, you know? He's, like, the real womanizer of this story, and it's like, that
was.
guy? The head from Reanimator?
Wait a minute. That's not right. He's
What?
not in Reanimator, Fritz Weaver.
Isn't that Fritz Weaver from Reanimator?
No, that's David Gale was in Reanimator.
Oh, they look so alike. They look alike,
do look
okay?
alike. I was like, oh my God, my mind is about to be blown for a second. I was like, oh shit.
Dropped a big one on you.
Dropped a fact on me.
No, I've only seen Reanimator one time my entire life. I actually thought that was Fritz, because they look so much alike.
They do look alike.
So,
absolutely. You got to dust off your copy, bro. Reanimator's dynamite. No question.
I prefer Bride.
Oh.
Bride has got the wildest third act of any horror film of that time.
You kind of lost me there, bro. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh.
Barbara Crampton, she's not even in that one, is she?
No, it's
what's her name?
It's what's her face from Halloween 4. Cops do it by the book.
Yes. That's
He's the bride. And
yes.
then having Howard Berger on the podcast, we actually talked about that recently because the K&B did the effects for that movie and it was a fucking nightmare.
I believe it.
So
a lot of these movies I saw on Joe Bob. Like I saw Madman on Joe Bob.
Same here, Monster Vision.
Absolutely. So the creature had been locked in a crate,
right,
for like 150 years.
Somehow it's been chilling right underneath that step. No one's noticed.
It's a Muppet. Let's just call it a Muppet because that's what it looks like.
His name is Fluffy.
Fluffy the Muppet.
Fluffy.
He was, I mean,
on his way to Hollywood to get a record contract. Met up with Kermit the Frog.
It is the Muppet movie. It's that dude from the Muppet movie. I want to go to Hollywood. Yeah, that guy. There's what I love about Fluffy is the fact that he apparently has no body from the waist down. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Tom Savini still has the head in his attic.
I believe it's terrifying. Mouthful of
they should mount it like a moose.
that
would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
A moose.
But people bite a lot of people die in this. I mean, Willie the janitor
Mm-hmm.
gets eaten
The
up.
college kid.
The college
He
kid,
gets it the
that's
worst,
right.
dude. His face just gets seriously
Oh,
mangled
he
the
gets
F up.
he gets bit, and it's like just to rake his face with the teeth.
Yeah.
That was
Oh.
gross. That was serious.
And
I mean, once again, then you cover it all up. That's ridiculous.
Right.
it's like a
Hal
murder
Holbrook,
mystery.
Hal Holbrook basically was like, hey, I'm going to come and mop up gore and viscera scattered across 3 labs for some reason.
Yep.
Easy peasy. No problem. And
All while his shirt is buttoned down all the way to his belly button, just about.
it was 82. That's how we did it back then. But you're right. By the end of the crate, you've lost the janitor, the college kid, and Billy. And we're supposed to be like, oh, no questions. No one's going to be like, hey, bro, what happened to your wife? I don't know.
She left me.
She left me. Yeah, she just bounced one day. You didn't file a police report or anything? No, didn't do anything. Who knows?
Because you can't possibly just get a divorce. He's a college professor. He's not the CEO of Exxon or something.
There's no prenup that there's going to be.
He's just,
I mean, what's he going to get?
He's just a lonely soul who endures a lot. He's got this belligerent wife, a best friend who ditches him one chess night for college girls. It's like he's just a lonely, lost soul.
Well, and Fritz Weaver's like, I've got some 22-year-old hottie over here. Okay, Hal.
Like, I guess you won't be over for chess later.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I guess I'll play
His
chess.
response should have been checkmate.
Right, basically. It's like, bro, as much as I love playing chess with you, I got to go.
Right. We all can't be Billy.
That's exactly.
Right.
Sweet Lord. But you're right. It's much easier to feed my wife to a monster under the stairs than to just bounce on her. Than to give her divorce papers.
And explain that no one's going to notice the head of the department and all these people are missing. They all ran off together to have some kind of brother-husband situation in Utah.
That's exactly what the plan is, evidently.
I mean, the crate's been underneath those stairs for all this time. It's like a rolling quarter is what discovers it. I'm surprised this wasn't found earlier than this, but, movie's gonna movie.
Because the building didn't seem like it was from 1800.
No,
at least those stairs were not. Those stairs were not from 1800.
They built the stairs around the crate. It was just easier.
They built the city on rock and roll.
Yeah. They were like, we're not going to mess with that crate.
We're not doing well. When 75-year-old Willie the janitor starts moving the crate, easy peasy. Even though there's like a 400-pound gorilla in the crate thrashing around.
And Hal Holbrook's like carrying the motherfucker. I don't know if he's 60 or 70, but he's like fucking carrying it to the quarry.
Atlas over here. Yeah, no question. Speaking of comic book ads, if you want to be a 98-pound weakling, sweet Jesus. Anyway,
but I will say the last shot of this story does freak me out.
Oh yeah,
how it just breaks out. It's a good last, gotcha gag.
Absolutely.
How it just breaks out. It's like you ain't safe after all.
There's always in the end. It's like the monsters are all loose at the end of each of these shows.
Yeah.
That's true. They're all on the loose. There's zombies roaming the streets. Actually, Jordy Verrill, you're right. The rainstorm's about to kick in.
Right.
He's dead, but the plants are growing. So, yeah. There's no happy endings here. Very sad.
Oh no.
Anything else about the crate you guys want to talk about?
Nothing.
We squeezed that rock.
We're not going to make it as long as the actual story.
Yeah. The last story is they're creeping up on you, which bothered me at the time and still bothers me quite a bit.
I have a funny story about this one.
Please.
It's Howard Hughes.
Yeah, exactly.
He must be a real bastard.
Dating back to my first time watching this film, it used to be on TV all the time.
Right.
And because there used to be a local TV every Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. It was called Nightmare Theater, local channel 54 here in Baltimore. And Creepshow was always on there, and that's how I watched it most of the time. So, that being said, this was always presented to me edited in the fact that whenever they showed it on TV, which for the first 5 or 6 years or so of my life watching this film was always on TV and never on, a rental or on premium TV or cable, whatever.
Right.
Point is, they always cut this story out. So for
Oh.
years, I went watching this film only thinking it was 4 stories, the last one being The Crate, not minus the epilogue, obviously, but
Right.
they would cut this story entirely out. So you could imagine when I was a little bit older and watching this on like Cinemax for my first time, and I'm like, what the fuck is this 5th story? What is this? What is Art from Christmas Vacation doing on my TV set right now, dealing with bugs and all? It freaked me
That's
out.
right.
But then I don't do bugs, so this story really got to me after I watched it. So, and it still holds up, but not in a good way. Still, let's just put it that way. This I can do without this one, only because it's a personal thing. It creeped me out, dude, and it's so
No,
effective. And the fact that they used actual bugs for this, like,
Roaches.
yeah,
Roaches.
I'm
I got a
good.
roach thing too. I got a huge roach thing living in the desert. They're as big as your fucking thumb.
They're awful. Even to this day, as a school teacher, if I see a roach on the floor, I tell the kids to step on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
I don't want to hear that crunch.
Extra
No!
credit, and then I make them remove the corpse and throw it outside.
Yeah, do something with this. I don't want to
I'm like,
see it.
la 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 la.
They're too
Yeah.
heavy. They're too.
Right.
So you step on them, it is literally like a potato chip crunch. I'm not feeling that.
I'm waiting for it to push back up. No.
Well, right, exactly. And watching this movie, E.G. Marshall, who plays the role,
Yeah.
there are real cockroaches on
Yeah.
They
him.
are. Yeah.
They're on him.
I mean, there's a lot of fake ones on strings, but there's also
Yes,
a lot
ones
of real ones too. I mean, I've watched documentaries, I've seen just desserts, I've heard of the horror tales about the production of this scene or this sequence, and can only imagine being on set for this.
I mean, as an actor, I guess you kind of, if you're Tom Cruise or anybody, you can obviously turn down certain roles. But if you're just a working actor, you can't. You're not turning things down. I guess
No.
you just have to suck it up.
Right.
That's what I was just thinking about. Aaron, we're ready for you. You're going to get to be that dead body on Law and Order. But
It's a roach motel.
Covered
it's a
in bugs.
they will be coming out of your nose, out of your mouth, burrowing into every orifice.
Basically. Okay. The premise of this story is there's this Howard Hughes type who's an asshole billionaire type, I guess. And he's up in his like
old Nisophobia hermit or something.
right. He has like germophobia,
Yeah.
essentially, is what it is. And as the thing progresses, more and more roaches start coming.
There's a
everywhere.
storm outside, so there's a power outage, and
No one can come to help
yeah,
him.
exactly.
And and then roaches, more and more roaches. I mean,
And he lives in this all white apartment. Everything is white except for that colorful jukebox that he has.
yes.
Right.
Everything's just white. So,
Sterile.
Sterile. I mean, he's got like this like suction device for all of his used tissues and shit. So
Yes. He
pretty
wears
crazy.
gloves all the time.
gloves,
Uh,
yeah.
I'd be wearing gloves if I knew they were going to be putting roaches on me too.
And-
Shit.
Can we talk about how he is the biggest jerk off? I mean, his competitor
Ridiculous.
like dies, and like he's making a mockery to like the dude's wife on the phone and
Yeah.
shit. It's
He's
crazy
a
the way he
monster.
talks to people.
And he's a racist.
Oh,
And
yeah,
just
oh, yeah.
casual,
But I
casual
love how
racism.
the maintenance guy who happens to be black is like giving it back to him. It's great,
Right. But it culminates, like you said, there's a power outage, and he literally waves of roaches are coming
Dude,
at him.
It's like
And
a
he locks
sea of
him-
them.
It's a sea. He
Oh.
locks himself in his little like hyperbaric like room, and of course,
And as they approach him, the power goes out so that he can't
Oof.
see anything, and then
ugh,
he has a heart attack and thankfully that's how he goes. But then what happens afterwards? That final gotcha effect of this story is,
Oh,
They're
the way
coming
they
out of his
come
mouth
out
and
of all
coming
of his
through his chest.
orifices.
Ugh. It's rough.
I'm just wondering. It's so clearly Howard Hughes.
It is.
I mean, down to the shoe boxes and everything.
Yeah.
So was he like a big asshole?
He was.
Because at the same time there was a James Bond with
was.
Willard White, which is clearly also him, Howard
Yeah.
Hughes.
Well, that was a direct homage from Diamonds
Yeah.
Are Forever. I mean, he was
Right.
called Willard White, and he lived on the top floor of like a Vegas hotel, just like Howard Hughes.
Just like Howard. We just needed the tissue boxes for shoes.
Sweet Jesus.
Now, there's another
don't know how to stand
cameo
up.
from this story that
Lay
we
it on
didn't
me.
talk about. Another voice cameo on the phone. We hear from a guy named Bob Bean, and that is Ned Beatty.
Because he didn't squeal like a pig, so I don't know. I didn't pick it up.
Throughout your other uncredited cameo from this film.
I love
Oh,
it.
that's awesome. I like
That
that.
is really cool, man. I didn't realize that.
Now
It's
you
an
got to
Oscar
figure out who is the original actor for Stephen King, because I can't find it. For the
I
Lonesome
mean, I was
Reset,
just assuming that that's what happened with him.
Oh,
Like, I'm
damn
sure
it.
that's what happened. I don't know 100%.
I wanted you to say, well, it was going to be Paul Newman. But then at the last
It was
minute,
going to be Paul
there was a
Gleason.
situation.
Paul Gleason. One of the Pauls.
It was going to be Jackie
Absolutely.
Gleason.
It was- He's very big at the time. And what about Stephen King's son? Who was going to step in for that one? That's the next question.
Mm-mm.
Tatum
no.
O'Neal.
Tatum O'Neal.
Could be.
Although I
Who's-
forgot, I wrote down this.
What are the Corys?
I wrote down this great quote from Tom Atkins. I forgot to talk about it in the beginning. It's like, that's why
Why not?
God made fathers, babe. That's why
I
God
wrote
made
that
fathers.
down too. That's why God.
He
made
calls his
fathers.
wife babe. She's like,
Don't you think you were a little rough on him? No, I don't at all.
why God made
In
fathers,
fact,
babe. That's why God made fathers. I
He's
sit
sitting
down
in
in my
his swing-back
Coors,
chair by the fire, drinking a bud.
drinking my can
Absolutely.
of Coors.
Oh my God. His Sans belt slacks.
Absolutely. His
Oh,
cardigan
yeah.
I mean, we're
sweater.
going back to him right now anyway. It's time for the epilogue, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
We talked about
We're
it
gonna
briefly,
circle
but
back to Tom Atkins.
Love Tom Atkins. So he's he's
Atkins is
brutally
great.
murdered by his evil son using voodoo, So-
Yeah, voodoo.
as one does. So that's good.
Voodoo was all the rage in the '80s, kids.
It was a thing,
Not so much
Surfing
these
Surfing in the
days.
rainbow.
no question. Any last thoughts about this or anything having to do with Creepshow?
It was iconic. Everybody wanted to be in this motherfucker.
Everybody was in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a line around the corner of all the
Everyone
finest
was in this
actors.
movie.
King was huge. This was it.
It's like George on his megaphone. Everybody, come to Pittsburgh. Be in my next horror movie.
Absolutely.
And they all came running. All the
Let's
actors.
go. Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Let's do it.
While he was all business in his scenes, Leslie Nielsen had a fart machine in his pocket during shooting.
Because of course he did.
He would let it go off during rehearsals and just before director George A. Romero would call action, causing Ted Dance and the crew to crack up with laughter. I'm sure that was great for the wasted film.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Good old Leslie.
Rice Krispies were used as maggots on the corpse's eyes in the first story Father's Day.
All right.
In
Not
addition,
real
Snap,
maggots.
crackle, pop, baby.
real maggots were also utilized. So I don't know. I don't know what their
They had to blend
what
them
the
in.
thought process was.
They didn't want to pack their eyes with the real ones, I guess.
Just pour them right in there.
Oh.
This is the only George Romero film to open up at #1 at the weekend box office.
Oh, interesting.
Absolutely.
Really?
That. I mean, because it is much more family fare, I guess. theoretically.
Bring the kids. Bring your grandma. We're gonna go see Creepshow.
No, I'm not doubting it. I just thought that Land of the Dead opened in first place, but I guess
He's not doubting it, but he is googling it right now.
Shut
You
up.
know what?
Shut up.
I saw Land of the Dead opening night, and there was only 3 of us in the theater. So
I mean, I saw it opening night too, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe it didn't open up in first. Never mind.
Stephen King was told to play Geordie like Wile E. Coyote the way he looks when he goes off a cliff.
What the
That's good advice.
I guess that's direction.
Absolutely. The marble ashtray that is used to bash in the skull of
I
Nathan
would
in
love to
Father's
own
Day.
that.
It's in all of the stories if you're looking closely.
It is. I did know that. I forgot to mention that earlier. Yes, it is in all the stories.
It is.
It's like a Where's Waldo situation.
It is. You have to look for it. In
Yeah.
Father's Day, it's obvious. In The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill, it's next to the cash box at the Department of Meteors on the desk. In Something to Tide You Over, it's on the nightstand.
That
next to
that one's the
Richard's
most
bed.
obvious. You can see it clear as day in that one. Yeah.
And the crate, it's on the writing desk when Henry writes the letter to Wilma. And in They're Creeping Up on You, it's a soap dish that he uses to wash his hands. So
They probably
there it is.
colored it all white for that one.
Oh, and in the wraparound story, it's on Billy's desk because he smokes a lot of Pall Malls, evidently, when he starts stabbing the voodoo doll. So
He's got to settle his nerves.
that is absolutely correct. The music playing on Upson Pratt's jukebox at the beginning of They're Creeping Up on You is the same instrumental that plays over the ending credits of The Evil Dead from 1981.
Nice.
Oh.
Boom. During a break in filming, Stephen King took his son to McDonald's, and as a joke, Little Joe was made up with bruises, cuts, and scabs. The girl at the drive-thru window called the police when she saw him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wah, wah.
Stephen King
I'm sure Stephen loved
does
her.
look super creepy.
He looks creepy anyway. Let's be honest. He looked like, I'm trying to remember what the book was, but his picture on the back of his books, he had a beard at the time, and he looked like a psychopath. Like he did a crazy look at his beard, and he looked nuts. Anywho, anything else? 2 of the characters featured in the film, Tabitha and Richard, the new professors at the faculty reception, were named after Tabitha King, Stephen King's wife, and Richard Bachman, his ghostwriting name. So there you go.
Write that away.
Yep.
And I know Stephen King was on set when they shot the scene with Tom Atkins slapping his son.
He was.
That was pretty awkward. Made for an awkward situation, to say the least.
Oh, no question. Well, if you look close, the red handprint's already there when he gives him a swat.
Ooh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 fingers, you see it clear as day.
Clear as day.
Oh, I watched it in 4K. I'm sorry. It wasn't a knock on your eyes.
4K is a blessing and a curse, because I watch the Golden Voyage of Sinbad or Jason and the Argonauts, and the green screen does not always work that well. Let's just say.
Yeah.
on
Absolutely.
4K.
I mean, I own the first 2 Evil Deads in 4K, and I feel you in the first one, especially with that moonshot in 4K. Doesn't look that great, but it definitely is a blessing and a curse.
Let's see. Warner Brothers tried an unusual release strategy for the film that ended up being hugely successful. They booked several theaters in the Boston, Massachusetts area during July 1982 and saw the film did great sales and had strong word of mouth, and then ended the limited run. Then they moved the film from its planned early October release to early November because they concluded that the main rival horror film of that period, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, would open too strongly, but that it would fade quickly. They thought it would come out strong and then disappear. So their plan was, right when it faded, Creepshow would slide right in there. And they were right.
This
It
opened
worked
in
well.
between Halloween and Thanksgiving. It opened up
Just
on
in
November
time
10th.
for Thanksgiving. Bring grandma. Bring your auntie, uncles. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Stories for everyone, the entire family.
Bring them all. And what they discovered also is that this was such a huge hit that throughout the 80s, a bunch of horror anthologies were released, or these kind of things
Yeah.
like we talked about, like
Right.
Twilight Zone. We talked
Creepshow
about
2.
Tales from the Dark Side, etc., etc. Let's talk about the cast, shall we?
Let's do it.
And the crew. Let's talk about George Romero. George Romero, of course,
Oh yeah.
we know him from such amazing things as Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Monkey Shines. If you remember that one.
No,
I
never
like
saw
Monkey
that.
Shines.
Monkey Shines, the guy's paralyzed, so they bring him a little crazy monkey to take care of him.
Oh, does it eat its lips?
No, he does like. Spoiler alert, at the end, when he kills the monkey at the end, he just grabs it by the neck with his teeth and just swings it around like a rag
Yep.
doll. It's great. But it's got a very young Stanley Tucci.
It does! The Tooch is loose. He's
Yeah,
often
man.
effortless,
It's
and he's
loose.
buff as can be. He is
He's
buff.
always jacked.
It's crazy. But Tooch does his thing. Let's see. Writer, of course, was Stephen King, as we said. You know him from Maximum Overdrive, which he wrote and directed. High on
Classic.
Cocaine. He wrote Creepshow, Shawshank, of course,
Green Mile.
Green Mile. He was the writer on the TV series Kingdom Hospital for 9 episodes. Do you remember that one?
Never saw it.
Yeah.
And how was it?
No one else did.
Ni-
Only 9 episodes.
9 episodes.
I missed that one.
Very sad.
But isn't he Mr. Mercedes too?
I believe so. I believe that's right. And of course, all of his books basically have been turned into movies. Countless movies. Hal Holbrook played Henry Northrop. You know him from such things as Into the Wild,
Wall Street,
Lincoln.
baby.
All the President's Men. He was Deep Throat. He was, of course, in Creepshow. I watched him in Magnum Force with Clint Eastwood over the weekend because that's just what I do. Also starring David Soul, Robert Urich, and Tim Matheson, for goodness sake.
Tim Matheson.
Check
Bob
there you go.
Urich. Is he still kicking around?
I don't think he is. I think he died relatively young.
Hal Holbrook was married to one of the designers.
Oh, and Hal Holbrook was also in The Fog.
He
Duh.
was in the
Oh,
Fog.
yeah.
Forgot about The Fog.
Absolutely. Let's see.
Not the Mist,
Not the
but
Mist.
the Fog.
They're different. Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie
You know
Nielsen.
him for Airplane, Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, something called Wrongfully Accused in 1998.
That sounds like a comedy.
Saw that
I
in
think
theater.
It was supposed to be like a fugitive ripoff.
It was.
I think he was on many episodes of The Virginian in the 60s, one of those cowboy shows. And of course, Day of the Animals.
And he was also at WrestleMania 11. That's Frank Drebin.
Absolutely. Adrienne Barbeau played Wilma Northrop. You know her from such amazing things as Escape from New York.
Stevie Wayne from the Fog.
Absolutely. From 1980. She was
It's
in
a Fog
Back to-
reunion.
That's right.
It's the Fog
Tom
reunion. She was in
Atkins from the Fog.
Jamie Lee Curtis in the Fog. Although not in
Kevin,
this
why
one.
haven't we done the Fog?
Yeah.
Why
Gotta
haven't you
add
guys
to our
done the
list.
Fog?
I don't know what we've been doing, frankly. What are we doing with our lives?
Not
She
the
was in
Fog.
Back to School as Rodney Dangerfield's cheating wife.
I love fucking Back to School. One of
It's
my
actually
favorite
funnier
films.
than you think, right?
Uh,
And of course, Creepshow, Maude, Cannonball Run.
Two Evil Eyes, another George Romero movie.
Absolutely.
ooh.
Let's see. E.G. Marshall played Upson Pratt. You know him.
Art from Christmas Vacation.
He was Art. Famously, he played Beverly D'Angelo's father in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
The little lights aren't twinkling, Clark. Don't piss me off, Art.
They moved a pint of fluid from my lower back. He was juror number 4 in 12 Angry Men. He was in Tora 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 in 1970.
Classic.
Creepshow. He was in The Defenders, if I'm remembering correctly, from the 60s. Another one of those TV shows. He played an attorney. There was a lot of those things.
He's also in Two Evil Eyes, George A. Romero.
Look at that. Let's see. Who else do you guys want to know about? Ed Harris.
Ed
Played
Harris.
Hank Blaine. You know him from such things as Appaloosa in 2008. You know it, don't you? He played Jackson Pollock in 2000.
I did see that. I did see that.
He was Kristoff in The Truman Show.
Oh, The Rock,
And
baby.
he was-
The Rock.
He was absolutely The Rock.
God
no
damn, I
question.
love The Rock.
It's dynamite. Of course, The Right Stuff. He was in Apollo 13 as Gene Kranz.
That's right. He was also
let's-
in Needful Things with Bonnie Bedelia.
He was. I love Ed Harris.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's dynamite.
He knows what
Glengarry
he's
Glenn
doing.
Ross.
He's a real actor, no question.
Yeah,
I love Glengarry Glenn Ross.
too.
It's so fucking intense.
such a great stage play of a film.
Oh my god.
What's funny, whenever I go through the actors, I literally just go on IMDb and list the first thing that they mention. And it's always interesting to see what the they think is important.
Right.
Careers. Ted Danson.
Oh yeah.
You know him from Cheers. For 270 episodes, he played Sam Mayday Malone.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
He was in 50 episodes of The Good Place, which I enjoy.
Never saw it.
Damages.
Damn, absolutely. He was in Body Heat in 1981.
That's right. He
which-
was. Holy shit.
It's Body Heat is a shockingly star-studded cast. You have Mickey Rourke is in there.
Yeah.
They're all
Kathleen
over the-
Turner.
Absolutely. William Hurt. In 1990, he was in Three Men and a Little Lady. That's who
Yeah.
IMDb feels we need to mention.
You didn't mention Baby. You mentioned Little Lady. That's
Little
the one you
Lady!
go to.
That's the one.
I preferred the original French version.
He was
thank
also
you.
in my grandmother's favorite film before she passed away, Made in America, with Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, Will Smith. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that where they fell in love?
That's where they fell in love. They did
Mhm.
fall in love, actually.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Remember, he showed up in blackface because they thought it would be funny, and it was so not funny that they ended
They
up
were
breaking
wrong.
up over it.
Yes.
They were mistaken.
They were mistaken. Sweet Lord. Let's go look at the ratings, shall we?
Lay it on me.
Creepshow. Currently 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what,
Seems low.
It does.
you know what the audience gave it?
They probably gave it
82.
86.
69.
Jesus.
That was on purpose, I
They're
think.
not real
Maybe it
fans.
was. Let's look at the top critics, shall we? Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
Gene's not going to like this.
Not even Ebes.
Creepshow joins two masters of horror and proves that two minds are not necessarily better than one. In fact, it is hard to believe that either man would have made such a bad film working without the other. Shots fired, 1 out of 4.
Yeah, but Ebes gave it 3 out of 4, so.
Well, let's see what we got here. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. Romero and King have approached this movie with humor and affection, as well as with an appreciation of the macabre. 3 out of 4. Boom. They did not agree on this one. This is one thumb
They never
up.
did.
They never did. Did they like each other in real life? Who's to say?
Probably not. I think they hated each other for real.
Do you guys remember there was a time, maybe I'm hallucinating, but there was a time when it was at the movies with Bill Harris and Rex Reed?
No.
Google it. It's a thing. I'm not
I'm
playing.
not doubting you. I'm just.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
You Google it.
Variety staff. They say George Romero collaborating with writer Stephen King again proves his adeptness with combining thrills with tongue-in-cheek humor. So they seem to appreciate it. And last, Vincent Canby of the New York Times. Horror films purists may object to the levity, even though failed, as a lot of it is. 2 out of 5, Vincent Canby. Boom. He's not a fan either.
Him.
Aaron took shots at Leonard Maltin based upon one of his reviews, and one of our listeners was
Yeah, he's
like,
got
"I
some
almost
takes sometimes."
unsubscribed." They get, he's a personal friend, and I don't appreciate that. Aaron, what is your rating for Creepshow?
I can't even remember what my thoughts were when this came out. I assumed I liked it, but I'm just going to tell you, it's got some nostalgia. I still think the prequel and all that nonsense and Tom Salvini and the very first one are the best of the best of the best. But I'm only going to give it like 3 out of 5. Old waterlogged corpse, Ted Danson, rocking his best self, still with a rug.
Yeah, he always had a rug. Ed, what you got? What's your rating?
Like, even though the crate kind of drags things down a bit, I'm willing to forgive all of that because I love the flow of the first 3 stories so much. Um, I just love this movie collectively. It's the second film I ever covered on my podcast, and
Boom.
it's a film I've been watching, like I said, since I was like 4 or 5 years old. It's a movie that never gets old. I make sure I watch it at least once every Halloween season. And that being said, I'm giving this unapologetically 5 dancing Ed Harrises out of 5
Holy shit.
because
Look at
I
you.
love this movie that much.
That's a bold fucking statement, but
Yeah.
I
So,
honestly don't think I've even
no
given
shame.
a 5 in 220 episodes or whatever.
Rosemary's Baby 5, Shining 5. What are you talking about? You say no to both of those?
Well, okay.
What?
Well, okay. Maybe I gave Shining. I don't think I gave 5 for Rosemary, in all honesty.
What?
What can I say? I mean, that's not to say it's a.
I feel like you struck me. It's like I felt like a physical assault.
Like Tom Atkins smacking Joe King.
That's right.
100%.
That's what it is.
That's what got me out of this,
I'm
babe.
sad for you.
I have to say, looking at this, kind of my indicator if a film is a 4 or higher is if I'm willing to buy it and add it to my collection.
You have purchased so much shit, Kevin. So every movie must be a 5.
I've owned Creepshow on so many formats.
Betamax, reel to reel.
Start with the old clamshell VHS case that I had of this.
You have the original film, 78, whatever.
The original 35 millimeter film file. So
absolutely,
it's hanging on my wall.
So I think this is just a hair below that. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. I have nostalgia for it. There's definitely parts that I enjoy. I like the kind of kitschiness of it in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was a comic book collector from way back when. So I always appreciated kind of like they do like comic book frames.
And
like,
the animation in this film is so. We didn't even talk about that. The animation's awesome in this movie.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's fun.
It is absolutely fun. Absolutely. I don't have anything negative to say about it. I just...
Really? Because I think we just spent about an hour and 45 on that.
No, I enjoy it. I do. I mean, truly, I could do without their creeping up on you. I don't think that's one that I look at and go like, oh, yes. Give me a few more minutes of that.
Goodness. Wait, I want to rewatch that. Let's rewind that.
And that's kind of a thing, you know, and that's where they leave you with. They leave you with the roach attack. That's serious business.
I mean, roaches creep me the out, so it was very effective.
It's effective because most people hate bugs, and they knew that, and they're like, all right, that's gonna be the last thing, and the way we're gonna end this film, besides Tom Atkins getting his throat pinned to death, but no, it's this big corpse of all these bugs coming out of it and shit. It's a great gag, you know.
Well,
just because I hate bugs, that's why I love it so much. Is because you know
it worked on
supposed to be. It's effective, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like Temple of Doom. There's that scene where like Indy and Short Round are going down like the
that's I know what scene you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And there's
all those bugs and centipedes and shit.
Centipedes, all sorts of crazy shit.
Oh yeah, it's nasty.
But I'll tell you what, the roaches in this scene affected me even more than Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah,
ain't no lie.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to worry about gigantic centipedes and weird other things that Willie Scott is touching in her hand with a weird, whatever the hell that thing was. The little bug. I don't have to worry about those creatures crawling. But roaches? There are some roaches up in here, and I don't want to think about it. Leave me alone, roach.
Creepy crawlies.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
But overall, I would recommend it. I would recommend it. It's just, I would say it's a hair below, like, I love it, is what I'm saying. So there you go. Good times had by all. Any last thoughts before we move on with our lives?
No.
There it is.
All I
There
can
you
tell
go.
you is my cats have set off the Roomba. I was trying to figure out why there's a robot sound coming at me, and it's the fucking cats have turned on the Roomba. So
In
I
Tales
don't
from
know.
the Dark Side, there was a story called Cat from Hell.
There is.
So,
It's got David
there we go.
Johansen from the New York
David
Dolls
Johansen, absolutely.
and William
Fine
Hickey
actor.
from Christmas Vacation.
Yes. Written based on a story by Stephen King. Boom. It's all coming back together. So thank you very much. You can find us on all sorts of social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, Instagram.
There is no Twitter.
I keep saying Twitter.
It's only X.
It's only there is no Dana. There's only Zool. We're on Threads, I guess. Is anybody else on Threads? We may be the only ones.
We are, but I don't think I've ever used it.
That's pretty standard, I think, at the stage of the game. We're also on YouTube. You may be watching us as we speak. For goodness
You may
sake.
be.
So you can also
You may.
email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
Please, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
Oh, I'm starting to post on social media again. I'm on the Instagram. I am the cultivator enjoying the cult. Don't feed the pigeon. I am on Artsy and First Dibs. Aaron Doherty, go buy something. I keep telling you that and you ain't doing it, but time to get on that.
We like to harangue people into doing it. That's what we're at these days.
The holidays are approaching.
That's right. Ed, where can people find your glorious podcast?
Oh, we're on all the major platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, all that jazz. Shoot us an email, filmeffectpod@gmail.com, website, thefilmeffectpodcast.com. We're on X at filmeffectpod. We're on Facebook and all those other glorious apps at the Film Effect Podcast. And yeah, that's it. Check us out. New episodes every week. Bada bing, bada boom.
Boom.
And we'll add your links to our show notes as well.
Much appreciated. Cool.
As you guys know, we like to jump in with listener, viewer, mail, comments, questions. So let's see what they had to say about The Pope's Exorcist, our
Let's
episode
go.
from a few weeks back. George Hannah Wilson says, I just got done watching it. The Pope's Exorcist is great. It's ridiculous in all the right ways and fun as hell.
Great seems really extreme. Russell Crowe is great, and they need to spin him off and find a new writer-director because his character is amazing. The rest of it...
What about Ralph Macchio? What about his performance?
the Father Macchio.
Father Macchio! Absolutely. Based upon our episode, David Rosen jumped in and said, this better be a positive episode. Evidently, people are concerned.
I think it was.
Yes, vaguely positive.
I mean, I felt positive about everything I said. I was positively correct. So yeah, boom.
And Peter Beta also said what he said. This movie was a blast. So there you go. Agree to disagree.
I don't agree to that. I don't agree to disagree.
So one more time, thank you, Ed, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I loved having you guys on my show. Have you guys back on soon. And thank you for having me on your show finally. And yeah, Creepshow. Love the film.
Good
That's it.
times.
It's a classic.
It's
And-
a classic. Give it 10 stars out of 5.
Absolutely. No question. And I was on your show fairly recently. We reviewed all of the Halloween films.
Oh yes, that episode. By the time this episode comes out, that should be out already because we're
That should
dropping it on
already be out.
Halloween. So
I
yeah,
fucking dodged that bullet.
check it out. It's a long one, but it's a fun one.
It's a fun one.
The
I like to say
Halloween-
watching all those movies was a labor of love, but it's more like I went into labor. So
Just push.
That's right. The Halloween Chronicles from Shape to Shamrock.
absolutely. It was a blast. So check that out
It
at
was.
the Film Effect Podcast. Good time. So thank you very much and be well.
I say good day.
Toodles.